Hey friends! Today I want to talk about the Gaian Tarot. This is a deck that I picked up 2.5 years ago. Yes, this is correct. 2.5 years ago, I purchased the deck and it's been sitting there ever since. And actually, I listed this deck on my eBay shop. And my thought was if this deck doesn't sell, by the time April rolls around, then I shall make this deck my own. And here we are. It's April 2025. And I thought this would be the perfect deck to celebrate Earth Month with. So let's take a look. Now, this is a very popular deck, very well loved in the community. And I understand that the book is just incredible. This comes in, and I'll show you here. They're separated into two piles. This is not my favorite. Oh, it's gilded. I didn't know it was gilded. Well, that sucks. I mean, I love gilding, but it sucks because, all right. We'll get into that in just a minute, but let me get the cards out for you. Now, the original version of this deck was beautiful, and now it's very difficult to come by. So this is the iteration by Schiffer, which is, I understand, going away as well because this deck is going to be republished. And so it will no longer have these blue borders, it will have teal borders instead. So let me set the book aside. And what I was thinking we could do was maybe take a look at the cards and kind of get, uh, I don't know if first impressions is the right way to say it, because I have seen this deck at one point or another, but it's been so long. So maybe it's just a reacquainting or getting to know you. So let's get a little bit closer. Okay, so here we have the Seeker, and obviously that's been renamed from the Fool. The Magician. I like this card. I like this card a lot. I like the art on it almost looks like a cave, right? I was gonna say art on the wall, but it feels more like a cave. Then we have the Priestess, and I always love this about this card, that if you look closely, it's like two halves of a person. The Crone and the Mother, maybe, is what I'm guessing. Empress is now the Gardener. I've seen a lot of decks that show the Empress this way, so it's kind of cool. And then the Emperor is shown as the Builder. Hierophant becomes the Teacher, and I really like that. And then we have the Lovers. And I always loved that they showed a full-bodied woman here. Then we have the Canoe instead of the Chariot. Strength. The Hermit. And the Wheel. Okay, so then we have a Justice. This is kind of like, I don't know, reminiscent of like the Circle of Life, right? The Hanged Man becomes the Tree. Death. Temperance. The Bindweed. Lightning instead of Tower. Star. and the moon, and then the sun. Awakening instead of judgment. And then Gaia becomes the world. So you can see this deck has a vibe. The deck is in numerical order. So we'll start with the aces here. I love the butterfly in connection with air. Obviously, these are named by their elements. So we have air, fire, water, and earth. And then I love the connection of the butterfly. Here we have the salamander, and then we have maybe a trout, some sort of fish, and then the fawn here for earth. Now we're looking at the twos, and I love this sense of closing your eyes and listening with your heart. We can see the two birds chattering in the background. I really love that. And then this two of fire, I always thought that this was so powerful. I love her strength. It feels like she is a match to him. And then we have the two of water. I love that it is a pet and their owner. And then two of earth, right? The juggling act that is parenthood. Now onto the threes, we have the three of air. So because this is a deck focused on numerology, we get kind of that other interpretation for the three of swords. But I love that if you take a closer look at this card, you can see, look what's under his book. Yes, that is a three of swords traditional tarot card that he is journaling on. So I love how they've included that for those that want that type of symbolism. The three of fire, the three of water. I really love this only because I know just how playful these little beings are, and it just sits well with me. And then the three of earth. I like to see this. You know, if I didn't mention this creator is Joanna Powell Colbert, which is the same creator as the Herb Crafters. So I like this image a lot because it kind of ties into that other deck. Now we're on to the fours. The nest, I think it's perfect. The four of fire. I love this sense of ritual here. Four of water, and then four of earth. And if ever there was a being that hoarded, it would be the squirrel. The fives, I feel like, are very powerful. I really love this image here with all of the eagles, and then the, I don't know, fire blower for the five is super cool. And I don't know about anyone else, but I know that I have had many moments in my life where I've sat in this sort of reflection for long periods of time, just like this figure. So that resonates. And then the five of earth. I mean, they have made a shelter in the woods. And look at the position that they're in. I'm going to bring them closer. See how they're huddled up? And, you know, it's camouflage. The shelter is camouflage. There's, you know, that adds to the layers of the reading. Here we have the sixes. I love this here. The six of air. Of course, I really love the fire suit here, but I also love the water. I don't know. I do love them all, actually, if I think about it. Six of water, and then six of earth. You know, like that idea of like the farmer's market. I think that's super cool. So here we have the sevens, and I feel like they're all pretty straightforward. There's something so powerful about this image. I just love it. And then here, the fact that he's trying to get this last drop out from that cup. I love that. And this one is so, so cool. And then we're on to the eights. Eight of air, of fire. I like that. Like a meteor shower almost. Water and earth. There we have our nines, all very beautiful. I feel like this deck is unique. I mean, all decks are. I feel like I probably say that about every single deck. I don't know. They're just so cool. You know, tens traditionally are that sense of completion. Something comes to an end to make room for something new. And I feel like these are very powerful. This is just wow. The Ten of Water as well. All of them. So we'll move on to the pages, which have been renamed to child. And I love, of course, to see the younger, youthful energy because I really feel like it helps when you're reading to pull that aspect of it into the actual reading. The knights now become explorers. Now, here we're abandoning traditional king and queen energy, which I really love for this deck. So here we have the guardians, which would have been the queen. And I love that we can see two female representing and two male representing. And we end with the elders replacing the king. And again, we see a breaking away of that, kind of need for like, oh, the queens are female and the kings are male. No, it can be interpreted in any kind of way. And I really love that. You can see that this deck is ginormous. This is the largest deck that I have in my collection. So we are looking at 4 inches across and 5 3/4 down. Obviously, it's too big. It's too much. And I had hoped when they put out the cards again that they would have looked at that, since that seems to be one of the major complaints with this deck. But it seems like they've honored the same thing, the same double border situation, which I don't understand why that was done. And part of me wants to trim the deck all the way and just leave it full on art without the white. But then they have cleverly brought the art outside of the frame in many places. So then if you do that, then you cut off, like for example here, if you take off the white, then you're cutting off part of the lemniscate. And to me, that's an important, part of the meaning of the card. So what I plan to do is trim this deck and at least eliminate the blue, just to make it a little bit easier to deal with and work with, because it's just too much. Like there's no way that my hands could like fit around. Like even shuffling like this, which I don't know why I just did that, because they're they're opposite. Hold on. Before things get out of control, let me undo. You ever wish you could do like edit undo with your tarot, like the way that you do on the computer? Edit undo. All right. So let's try that again. And it's a shame because, and I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about gilding, and some people actually like take the gilding and just cut it right off. I always love the gilding and I would just keep the gilding, but this would be the only way that I could shuffle. And then you could see it's not a good shuffle, right? So it's just too much. This definitely, in order to make this a deck that is workable for me, I will have to trim it. And so what I thought that I would do is kind of bring you behind the scenes and let you check out my deck trimming. When I first started trimming, I was just buck wild with scissors like a proper savage. I just went to town with the scissors, and then I watched a few videos, and I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. So I'm gonna attempt to do the trim without being too particular when it comes to perfection, because this is the kind of thing, if you have any bit of like perfectionism in you, if you make a mistake, then it's really hard. It's really hard. So I'm going to try to be mindful. I'm going to try to approach this process with grace. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end. All right, let's get started. So I have to decide where exactly to cut. I thought about cutting off the blue, but then there's this weird notch here. So I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. So let me see. First, I want to make sure that I eyeball this properly. I didn't even look at the card backs. Okay. All right. Hair is in the way. Feel like that looks good right there. So then what I want to do is use this as a guide and tape it into place. The first one is the hardest, and then after that, it goes pretty quick. Okay. All right. So that secures the guide so that I get all of the cards in the same exact spot. Here goes nothing. Oh, I missed it. I missed a bit of the edge. All right. Hold on. I always felt like this one was not even. I always felt like it wasn't even. Let me do a different card. Here. I always felt like it wasn't even. So I'm going to say there. All right, I want it there. I'm going to pinch it in place and then move the guide. And because this is popping up. That better? That doesn't feel like it did anything, so. All right. Let's try that. Actually, if we go back to the first card, okay, it's lined up good. Oh, that's better. Oh, I like that. All right, let's go with that. Okay, something is funky because the same thing happened, see? So that means that the printing on the cards is not even. So that sucks. Because now I'm going to have to shift it over another hair. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. I'm in the middle of a dilemma. I can't play with you right now. Let's see. Okay. So before it was like right up to this line. All right, so I got the sliver barely off because you can see at the bottom it still shows. And the top border looks thinner than the bottom. Oh my goodness. Okay, so just so you see, yes, that's visibly smaller than the other ones. All right, so we did temperance, so let me go back and retrim the other ones because of course we want them all to be even. This is why some trim jobs, the backs, the card backs suffer because you try so hard to get the artwork in just right. Tough. This is my first deck that I did was my Denise Lynn deck. Yeah, they're all even. Okay. We're gonna do the best we can. Let's see. So yeah, I am by no means an expert at this. I see errors in my Denise Lynn deck, Oracle deck that I trimmed, but it's my deck and I'm fine with it. And it was a step up from using the scissors. So ooh, almost cut her toes off. Okay. Ooh, that is not bad. It looks very even all the way across the side. Already it's a more manageable shape. So now I only have to do that 3 more times. Here we go. Yes, Murky. Okay, a little bit closer. Feel like right. Right there. I still feel like this edge here is thinner than this one here, but the cards I don't think are centered. Let's try. Let's try. I mean, even, but this one is slightly wider. Right there. Okay, that's better. All right, let's go with that. Now, let's take a look. Okay. There's some bumps down here. Now it's time to, I think, trim the top. Time for the top. I feel like that's the right spot, but I don't know how I'm going to get something, a guide there to hold it in place. I don't know how that's going to happen. That might be too high. If I wanted to do it there, it's off. It's still off. Is it? Okay. Let's try to go with that. All right. Here goes nothing. Okay. 3 sides done. So far, okay. You see that line right there? That tells me that there's a card that got cut shorter. But you know, I will live with that. You see it? That one got cut shorter. But you know, so far it's been going really well. So now we're down to the last slice, the bottom. All right, we're down to the last edge. So I'm gonna guess right there. Now, this end is really tricky because we're literally at the edge of the trimmer. So let me see if I can line this up. Let's see. Be cool if it was at the line, but that would be too much. It needs to go like literally right there. Let's try. I mean, for every other angle, I've had to rearrange the edge 3 or 4 times. So let's see if we can get it right. I'll lean it there. Okay, you ready? Okay, not terrible. This side feels so much bigger. But a big part of that is because they're just not even, you know? And you could only do so much. This is really the type of thing that you have to be open, to allow grace. I need to go thinner because there's still blue left there. Yeah, you need to allow grace because you know, you just don't know. That's cutting it close. It's not even. Okay, that's better. And even if it wasn't, we're not gonna go because if not, we'll be left with no no names at the bottom. You ever do that? Like with the haircut? You keep cutting like, oh, just a little bit more and it'll be even. And then before you realize you cut everything, you cut everything off. I don't know how to get it so that it stays. This is such a weird edge. Definitely, I feel like I've had this one for a while. So I definitely feel like it's probably time to replace. Um, and if I did, I would want to get one that was bigger. See, that just goes to show this tarot deck was just way too large. I don't know why they did this. And I have a feeling that when they do the reprint, it's going to do the exact same thing. They're going to go with the large cards with a teal border. And I was like, why did they change it from teal to blue? But as I'm taking a closer look, the font is teal on the cards. So that explains it. All right. Let's try there. God, that looks awfully close. Looks awfully close. I'm afraid. I'm afraid, y'all. Look at this one. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so here we go. Here goes nothing. See, the printing is off because look at that. See that? So you can't give yourself too much of a hard time when you're doing this because you're doing the best you can with what you've been given, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you see the cards, you pick up the message, you can read. Even the titles are not really all that because there's a lot of people that cut the titles off and then just write it on the card somewhere. With these, because they're numerology, like this one, I would know that that's the 3. But I don't know if I looked at this, would I know that that's the 2 of air? And this one, would I know that this is 6 of earth? You wouldn't know that. So you do need the titles on these cards unless you are planning to make it a completely other thing and turn it into an oracle, which I've seen people do that too. You know, like, okay, I don't like these cards, I'm taking them out and I'm just redoing the whole thing. That happens. And all of that is totally fine because you are making it your own. All right, I'm going to stop talking so I can focus. Okay, let's take a look. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. All right. So the cards are even, but because they're not printed even, then you'll find some cards that look like they're perfectly centered and then other cards that are off a little bit, but that's just how it is. That is how it is. So now it's looking good. Final step is going to be the corners. So fun times. Yeah, doing deck mods, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. That's why you end up bonding with a deck, because you pour so much of yourself into it. And that's nothing. Like, if I wanted to, after the corners, then I could be like, you know what, I'm gonna edge it too. But I'm not feeling that energetic. So, but it would be pretty to edge this deck, especially because it was edged to begin with. I would pick some, shade of blue. I really like the blue. All right. It looks good. I can live with any imperfections. All right. Let's move on. Now it is time for the corners. So I'm going to start with small and see what that looks like and then decide from there. All right, small is not going to cut it because we can still see the blue. So let's go to medium. You can still see it. I don't like large, but we're going to have to go to large. Okay, large it is. Well, there it is. All right. Now you kind of have an idea of what's going on. I will finish these up and see you at the end. I have finally finished, and my hand is a bit tender. I did try to take breaks in between, and I don't know why. Like, I find this so gratifying at the end to look at the bottom and see all the snippets. But what I thought I'd do is show you the finished product. And so I'm just taking a quick look, right? You can see it's not perfect, but it's not bad. This card right here, this one, let me see if I can get it. That one right there. Yeah. Um, that one was off in the corner. See that? So I just kind of eyeball it so that I can see if there's any that are, slightly off. And then I'll just go back and re-punch. Okay. So that was on the top. Sides. Would be pretty to edge, edge the deck. Maybe at some point, this would be a good activity, like when you sit down to watch maybe a live or something like that. It might be good to work on the edging. So Yeah, I would say like for not being perfect, it's pretty damn perfect. I feel like it looks so much better. And again, you have to kind of be mindful that, the printing, you have to keep in mind that it matters, right? The printing isn't always spot on with these. So sometimes it's going to be off. But overall, it looks really good. I think I did a pretty good job with this. I'm happy with the outcome. And then it feels so much, it looks better, but it feels better. It's much more manageable in my hands. So now, and then just so you can see what happens with the card backs. Uh, you know. So it's not what you would want, but it's not terrible, is what I'll say, right? It's not terrible. I think it looks okay. So looks better, feels better, and then let's see. Now I can actually overhand shuffle. Here we have the Ace of Air. New thought, right? New thought, new mindset shift. You know what that is? Modding a deck doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you just kind of shift expectations a little bit, you too can take on a task like this. I love how it shuffles. And let's see, if I wanted to shuffle it this way, can I? It's still kind of big. Not so much big, but chunky. This is going to be difficult for me still, but yeah, it's not really a great shuffle. What about sideways? Can we do a sideways? Okay, not bad. Not bad. But I'm an overhand shuffler anyways. I really don't riffle very much. But I think that this is perfect. It's much more manageable. And now I have less apprehension about approaching the deck and using the deck. So there you have it, my friends. This is my version of a deck modification of the beautiful Gaian Tarot by Joanna Powell Colbert. Very cool. Lots of fun. There you have it. Thank you for keeping me company as I do this deck mod. It's been years since I did one. I'm glad I survived. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.